The story of Han Ji-soo, a Korean who lived in prison in Honduras. Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to tell you a really amazing story. It's the story of Han Ji-soo, a Korean who lived in prison in Honduras, and let's hear the shocking story. Han Ji-soo's disappearance. In August 2009, Han's family was in a state of shock. While Ji-soo was coming to the US from Egypt, she suddenly went missing. She was working as a skin scuba instructor in Egypt, and was heading to the US to meet her mother. Then, she disappeared without a trace somewhere at the airport. The family tried to find Ji-soo's whereabouts, but found no trace of him anywhere. They asked the embassy for help, but even that, it was not easy. The family anxiously tried everything to find Ji-soo, but could not hear from him. A shocking phone call. But one day, Ji-soo's sister called. The main character of the call was an Iranian woman, who said, "Your brother is in prison," and that Ji-soo was being held at Interpol detention center. The family searched for Ji-soo at Interpol, and found out that he was actually on a red wanted list for murder. The family's shock at the time was indescribable. It happened when Ji-soo left Honduras to get her skin scuba instructor license. The family started going all out to save him. The beginning of a case. A year ago, Ji-soo went to Honduras to achieve her dream. It was to get a license to teach skin scuba on the beautiful island of Roatan. Shortly before she returns to Korea after safely obtaining her license, she becomes involved in an unexpected incident. His housemate Dan returned home drunk with Mariska, a Dutch woman who was a student, and that night, Mariska died. Ji-soo and Dan were found to be simple accidents and released safely, but a year later, Ji-soo was arrested on murder charges. Ji-soo arrived at Cairo airport to go to the US, but was immediately arrested by a passport control panel. Afterwards, she was confined to an Interpol detention center, and asked her family to contact her. Thanks to this, the family learned of Ji-soo's unfair situation, wrongful arrest and imprisonment. Later, Ji-soo was extradited to Honduras for trial, and was arrested despite not having enough evidence. Honduras military coup d'etat led to an inadequate lawyer, and Ji-soo had to endure from day to day in notorious prison. Ji-soo complained of unfairness, but no one listened to him. In the meantime, the family asked the Korean government for help, but they were unable to get much support. Ji-soo had to endure each day in despair, not knowing when he would die. He endured, recalling the faces of his family love and rescue operation. It was his father who kept Ji-soo going. He visited his daughter every day to console and support her. Perhaps because of his efforts, Ji-soo's case eventually became known to the world through broadcasting and received attention. The government set up an emergency response team and tried to save Ji-soo, and with the help of the Korean community and many others, Ji-soo was able to receive parole in December 2009. She was acquitted 416 days after her arrest, and returned to her family's arms after 500 days. The efforts of the investigation team, the emergency response team, was rushed to Honduras to prove Ji-soo's innocence. The team, consisting of a judge turned lawyer, a police consul turned police inspector, and a forensic scientist specializing in the National Forensic Service, went all out to save Ji-soo. They thoroughly examined all the data to reveal the truth of the case. In particular, the secondary autopsy report's sloppy content was pointed out. The report was found to have been written on the date of Ji-soo's transfer to Honduras, strongly suggesting the possibility of evidence tampering. The team questioned the autopsy, but he declined to answer. In the end, they had enough evidence to exonerate Ji-soo. Acquittal and return. Ji-soo was finally found not guilty in a trial of 416 days after his arrest. He was able to return to his family's arms after 500 days. Ji-soo's family was happy to hold him back in their arms, but her pain was not easily forgotten. The current Ji-soo, now, 15 years later, Ji-soo has struggled a lot mentally because of what happened, but she is living her life again thanks to her family's love and support. When asked if she had anything to say to her father at the time, Ji-soo said, "I'm doing great thanks to my dad, don't worry too much." Ji-soo did not forget her pain, and expressed her gratitude to everyone who supported her. He stressed that a lot of attention and efforts are needed to prevent unfair stories like him from happening in the future. Finish. This story reminds me once again how important it is for a country to fulfill its duty to protect its citizens. I will need a lot of attention and help to prevent unfair stories like yours from happening in the future. I hope you've felt a lot through this story, and if you're still curious about Korean stories, please subscribe and like.